The ground shook long before anyone saw the creature. At first, the soldiers on Station Helios thought it was an earthquake. The metal floor trembled, lights flickered, and cups rolled off tables. But then came the sound, deep, heavy wing beats that pushed waves of air through the landing bay. Every alien soldier froze. Everyone knew that sound. The Predator dragon had arrived. It landed with a crash, crushing a whole stack of metal crates under its massive feet. The creature was huge, almost the size of a dropship. Black-red scales covered its body like armor plates. Its long tail dragged across the floor, leaving deep marks in the steel. When it opened its wings, the shadows swallowed half the bay. The soldiers stood still, too scared to breathe. No one wanted to move. No one dared to run. A single scratch from this creature could cut a tank in half. Its teeth gleamed like knives. Its eyes glowed like burning gold. Everyone knew the truth. When a Predator dragon landed on a base, someone usually died. But today, something strange happened. The dragon stopped roaring. It lifted its head and sniffed the air, slow, sharp breaths. Its nostrils flared. The muscles in its neck tensed. It smelled blood. A low growl rumbled out of its chest, echoing across the bay like thunder. That was the moment when everyone began to panic. Alien officers shouted orders. Some soldiers dropped to their knees. Others reached for weapons they knew wouldn't do anything against the monster. "Back away. Don't provoke it," someone screamed. But the dragon wasn't looking at them. Its eyes focused on a single human sitting alone on a supply crate near the back of the bay. The man had his legs crossed. A small metal lunchbox sat beside him, and on his shirt, a tiny blood stain. He didn't even look scared. While the entire station shook with fear, the human chewed calmly on a sandwich. The Predator dragon took one step toward him, then another. Each step shook the floor. Several soldiers fainted. The human looked up only because a shadow fell over him. He raised an eyebrow as the giant monster leaned down, lowering its massive head until its hot breath washed over him. The soldiers waited for the scream. The human simply blinked. The dragon sniffed again. The smell of blood was strong. Fresh. Real. A roar began to form in the dragon's throat. The human sighed like he was being interrupted during lunch break. Then he said, in the most relaxed voice in the galaxy, "Relax. It's only my lunch." Silence. Real, absolute silence. Even ventilation fans seemed to stop. Every alien stared in disbelief. Even the dragon froze. Its golden eyes blinked once, confused. The smell of blood had not come from a wounded soldier. Not from fight. Not from prey. It came from the human sandwich. A simple meat sandwich. Human style. The dragon's nostrils flared again as it tried to understand this strange food. It pulled its head back slightly, confused. Its tail curled inward. For the first time, the monster looked unsure. The human took another bite like nothing was happening. The soldiers exchanged terrified glances. Why was he not dead? Why was the dragon not ripping him apart? Why was he eating lunch while standing under a living weapon? The human looked up again and spoke casually. "You want some?" Half the room fainted on the spot. The dragon tilted its head. The huge predator that had destroyed entire ships was behaving like a curious animal. Its eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with interest. It leaned closer again, sniffing the lunchbox. The human chuckled. "Dude, I don't think this is your diet." "Human," an alien officer yelled from behind a barricade. "Move away. Now." The human waved one hand lazily. "Relax, it's fine. Fine. Fine." Nothing about this was fine. A predator dragon wasn't a pet. It wasn't curious. It wasn't friendly. It was a top-tier hunter from a species that obeyed no one and feared nothing. Except, right now, it looked confused, almost gentle, like it didn't know what to do with the human who smelled like blood but wasn't afraid. The dragon lowered its head even more, until its snout touched the human's shoulder lightly, almost like a nudge. The human took another slow bite, completely calm, and mumbled with his mouth full. "You're hungry, aren't you?" The alien soldiers screamed internally. The officer nearly fainted. The dragon didn't growl. It didn't roar. It didn't attack. It simply stared at the human as if waiting for something. Something important. Something deep. Something instinctual. The human finally closed the lunchbox and wiped his hands on his pants. Then he looked up at the monster with a soft, curious expression. "Why are you staring at me like that?" The dragon slowly blinked, and then it sat down. The entire base went silent again. A predator dragon, one of the most deadly creatures in the galaxy, had just sat down in front of human like a giant, obedient guard dog. The soldiers had no explanation. The officers had no plan. The human had no idea what he had just triggered. But one thing was clear to everyone. This was not normal. This was the beginning of something dangerous. Something powerful. Something no one understood yet. And the dragon's golden eyes said only one thing. This human is not prey. This human is something else. The dragon watches the human. The landing bay stayed frozen long after the dragon sat down. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Even the warning lights spinning overhead felt too loud. But the human, yes, the same human who casually ate lunch under a monster, stood up slowly, stretching his arms like he had just woken from a nap. The predator dragon's golden eyes followed every tiny movement, every breath, every step. The alien soldiers whispered to each other in panic. "It's tracking him. It's studying him. Why is it behaving like that?" But the dragon didn't blink. Not once. It lowered its head to the ground, keeping its eyes locked on the human like he was the center of its entire world. The human scratched the back of his neck, confused. "Are you following me?" The dragon thumped its tail once, a loud, heavy sound that shook dust from the ceiling. The aliens behind the barricade almost screamed. The human blinked. "Okay, I'm going to go now. Don't eat anyone while I'm gone, all right?" Everyone stared in horror as the human walked away from the landing bay, and the dragon stood up and followed him. The floor trembled under each of its steps. Soldiers leaped out of the way. Officers dove behind crates. Mechanics screamed and ran for elevators. But the dragon didn't care. It followed the human like a loyal shadow. The base falls into chaos. The human stepped into the main hallway. It was narrow, filled with cables and panels, not made for giant creatures. The dragon entered anyway. Metal walls bent. Pipes burst. Panels cracked under its claws. "Stop it," an engineer cried. "That's a 1,000,000 credit wall." The dragon ignored him completely. The human sighed and gave an apologetic shrug. "Sorry, he's new." "He? What do you mean he?" the engineer shouted. The human pointed at the giant dragon behind him. "Well, he looks like a—" The engineer fainted. The dragon leaned down and sniffed the unconscious alien. "No," the human said quickly, waving a hand. "No eating. Bad idea." Shockingly, the dragon stopped. Every alien in the hallway stared. The human kept walking. The dragon followed. The dragon's strange behavior. By the time the human reached the cafeteria, the entire station was on alert. Security teams hid behind barricades. Medics stood ready with stretchers. Even the base commander watched from behind armored glass. They all expected the dragon to attack. But the dragon did not attack. It simply sat outside the cafeteria door, staring at the human inside like a guard waiting for its master. Some aliens tried to escape through the back entrance. They froze when the dragon growled softly. The human looked back at it. "Stop scaring people, dude." The dragon stopped growling. Every alien in the room whispered at once, horrified. It listens to him. It understands him. This human controls a predator dragon. But the human didn't even know he was doing it. He simply sat down and ate the rest of his lunch. The dragon watched through the doorway, eyes bright and unblinking. Something new, something dangerous. When a human finally got up, the dragon moved instantly, too quickly. The sudden motion made soldiers aim their weapons again. The human held up both hands. "Whoa, easy. He's just excited." The commander shouted through a speaker. "Human, step away from that creature." The human sighed. "For the last time, I don't think he wants to eat me. That is a predator dragon. I can see that. They kill everything." "Well, not me." The dragon rumbled low, unhappy with the loud voices aimed toward the human. It took one threatening step toward the commander's window. The commander screamed, "Make it stop." The human turned back to the dragon. "Hey, no." Don't scare the old guy. To everyone's horror, the dragon stopped again. It lowered its head and gave a soft huffing sound. The base commander almost cried. The incident. Everything changed when a nervous alien soldier, shaking, sweating, terrified, raised a plasma rifle behind the human's back. His hands trembled. His eyes were wide with fear. He thought the human was in danger. He thought he was protecting him. He aimed right at the dragon. That was a mistake. Before the soldier even pulled the trigger, the dragon moved. Fast. Too fast. A loud boom echoed as the dragon's tail whipped forward and struck the rifle out of the soldier's hands. The weapon flew across the cafeteria, smashing through a table. The soldier fell back, screaming. The entire station froze. The dragon positioned itself between the human and the soldier, its body wide, wings half open, ready to defend. The human's eyes widened. You protected me? The dragon growled softly. Not angry. Not violent. Protective. Very protective. The commander whispered, terrified. This is impossible. Predator dragons protect nothing. They hunt. They kill. They obey no one. But here it was, standing like a living shield around one confused human. The human placed one hand gently on the dragon's leg. It's okay, he said softly. The dragon slowly relaxed. Everyone around them stared like they were witnessing a myth come alive. The final suspense beat. The scientist team rushed in breathless, holding scanners, charts, sensors. One of them yelled, "Don't move. We need to confirm something." The human frowned. What now? The scientist shook with fear as he stepped closer to the dragon and scanned the air. The machine beeped violently. He checked the results. He checked again. Then he whispered the words that made the entire station go silent. Human, your blood, your smell. The human raised an eyebrow. What about it? The scientist swallowed hard. You smell like the dragon hatchling. The dragon leaned its massive head down toward the human and gave a gentle, rumbling sound that echoed through the whole base. Almost like a parent calling its young. Almost like family. The dragon protects him. The hallway outside the cafeteria was packed with soldiers, scientists, officers, and terrified maintenance workers. Everyone whispered the same thing. He smells like a hatchling. A human? A dragon hatchling? This can't be real. But the predator dragon didn't care about their fear or confusion. It only cared about the human. The dragon's golden eyes stayed locked on him, unblinking. Its tail curled protectively around the soldier who had fainted earlier. Its wings remained half open, ready to strike at anyone who looked dangerous. Every step the human took, the dragon followed with a low rumble. Every breath the human made, the dragon noticed. It wasn't normal. It wasn't logical. It wasn't safe. It was something much bigger. The scientist's discovery. Dr. Velik, the chief scientist, shook with excitement and fear as he held his scanner. It's true. The dragon is reacting to this human's scent markers. Humans share certain chemical traces with newborn dragons. It thinks he is family. Family, the commander shouted. A predator dragon does not have family. The dragon growled at the shouting. The entire hallway shook. Everyone jumped back. The human rubbed his forehead. Guys, lower your volume. He doesn't like noise. The commander sputtered. Stop calling it he. That is a war-class predator. The dragon leaned down and bumped its head against the human's shoulder. A sign of affection. A sign of claiming. Dr. Velik nearly dropped his scanner. Commander, it's too late. The bond is active. The human blinked. Bond? What bond? The scientist whispered, voice trembling. A blood scent bond. One of the strongest instincts in the species. A dragon will do anything to protect its hatchling. Everyone stared at the human. And you smell like one. The attempted intervention. Security teams moved in slowly. 8 armored officers stepped forward with shock spears designed to stun massive beasts. But even they didn't look confident. One officer whispered, "Orders, sir." "Restrain the creature," the commander said, though he clearly didn't want to say it. The dragon heard the word restrain. Instant reaction. Its wings spread, teeth bared, tail lifted like a giant blade. The entire corridor filled with heat. The nearest officers dropped their weapons immediately. The human jumped in front of the dragon. Stop! Stop! It's okay. The dragon froze. Then it pulled back slightly, eyes still sharp but waiting for the human's command. The commander's jaw dropped. It listens only to him. Dr. Velik whispered, "This is beyond anything we know." The soldier who made the dumb decision. Just when things were starting to calm down, one frightened young soldier, shaking, sweating, panicking, made a terrible mistake. He raised a small plasma pistol, not at the dragon, at the human. His voice cracked. Stay back. You're controlling that monster. You could be a threat." The human opened his mouth to explain. "Hey man, relax." The soldier panicked and tightened his grip. That was all the dragon needed. Before anyone could blink, the dragon lunged. A roar exploded through the hallway, so loud every screen flickered. The dragon's claws slammed into the ground around the human, forming a cage around him. Not touching him, not hurting him, protecting him. The dragon's tail snapped forward and struck the soldier's weapon, sending it flying into a wall and melting from the heat. The soldier collapsed in terror, screaming. The dragon positioned itself between the human and the soldier, massive wings forming an impenetrable shield. The human stared in shock. "You protected me again?" The dragon growled softly, not in rage, but in warning. No one dare move. No one dare breathe. The base realizes the truth. Dr. Velik stepped forward carefully, holding his hands up. "Commander, everyone, please understand. This is no longer just a biological response. This is emotional. This level of protection," he gulped, "is what a parent dragon shows to its own blood." The commander swallowed hard. "You're telling me a human has become a dragon hatchling?" "No," Dr. Velik said. "Worse. Worse," the commander snapped. The scientist's face turned pale. "He has become the dragon's priority." The hallway went silent again. Priority. The highest instinct. The deepest bond. A predator dragon would burn a city to protect a priority. Destroy a fleet. Tear apart planets if needed. The commander's voice cracked. "If that is true, then this base, this entire sector, is in danger if anything happens to the human." Everyone slowly turned to look at the human. The human rubbed his nose awkwardly. "Okay, this is getting weird." The dragon shows something new. Suddenly, the dragon lowered its head until its snout touched the human's chest gently. A deep, soft sound came from its throat, a sound no one on the base had ever heard from a predator. Dr. Velik gasped loudly. "Commander, that sound. What does it mean?" "It is a nesting call. Dragons use it when they want to take their hatchling back to their den." The human stepped back. "Hold on. Take me where?" The dragon rumbled again, louder. It opened its wings wide. Everyone in the hallway screamed and ran. The human stared as the dragon crouched low, inviting him to climb onto its back. "No, no, no, no," the human said. "I'm not riding you anywhere." The dragon gently nudged him again. The scientists panicked. "Commander, if the human leaves with it, there's no way to track them." The commander shouted, "Human, order it to stop. Now." The human took a deep breath. His heart pounded. The dragon leaned in again, waiting for him. This wasn't just protection. This was claiming. This was a bond. This was something ancient waking up. The human whispered, almost scared for the first time, "What do you want from me?" The dragon lowered its head and touched its forehead to his. A dragon family gesture. A vow. A promise. The human felt something warm, something powerful, flow through him. Not magic. Not telepathy. Instinct. Connection. The commander whispered, "Oh no, it has chosen him." And that was only the beginning. The human learns the truth. The dragon stayed crouched in front of the human, wings half open, waiting. Not attacking. Not roaring. Waiting. For him. Everyone on the base felt the pressure in the air change. It was thick, heavy like the whole station held its breath. Dr. Velik stepped forward slowly, his hands shaking around his scanner. "Commander, we need to take the human to the lab. Now." The dragon growled, a deep, primal sound that shook the lights overhead. The human raised both hands. "Whoa, big guy. Not everything in a lab means cutting me open. The dragon stopped growling but didn't relax. It understands your tone, Dr. Velik whispered. Your voice calms it. The commander wiped sweat from his forehead. Fine. Human, bring the creature with you. Slowly. No sudden moves. The entire hallway moved aside like a river parting around a mountain. The human walked forward. The dragon followed like a shadow made of fire and muscle. Inside the lab was not designed for dragons, not even small ones. And this one was far from small. The dragon squeezed inside anyway. Big metal pipes dented. A holographic table snapped in half. A whole ceiling panel fell off when the dragon's wing brushed it. Dr. Velik cried internally, but kept scanning. The human sat on a chair, casually swinging one foot. The dragon sat behind him, watching the scientists with a stare so intense that every one of them secretly rewrote their will. Velik stared at the readings on his tablet. This is insane. The commander stepped forward. Explain. Velik swallowed hard. You all know dragons hunt by scent. They smell fear. They smell blood. They smell weakness. But this species has a stronger instinct, something ancient. The human frowned. Ancient like dinosaurs? Velik shook his head. Ancient like the first dragons that lived during the star-forming era. They imprinted on scent. They chose their hatchlings based on chemical markers, not appearance. So, the commander snapped. Velik turned his tablet toward everyone. A hologram appeared, 2 glowing chemical signature graphs. One belonged to the human, the other to a newborn predator dragon hatchling. They were almost identical. Gasps filled the room. The human blinked. You're telling me I smell like a baby dragon? Exactly like one, Velik said. So much that even a mature predator, one of the deadliest in the galaxy, believes you are its own. The dragon suddenly leaned forward and sniffed the human shoulder. Then it made a soft, rumbling sound. Velik nearly fainted. That sound, it's a nesting confirmation, is telling you you belong to it. The human's eyes widened. I belong what? No. I'm a grown adult. I pay taxes. The commander pinched the bridge of his nose. Human taxes are irrelevant right now. The dragon responds to stress. A loud crash echoed from outside the lab. Someone had dropped a crate in the hallway. The human flinched. The dragon roared instantly. Every scientist screamed and ran behind machinery. The dragon pushed its head against the human's side, shielding him. Velik's voice shook. This reaction is extreme. The dragon is not just protective. It is emotionally linked. Emotionally, the commander repeated. Yes, Velik whispered. This creature is experiencing fear. Fear for the human. The human stared wide-eyed. How can a dragon be scared for me? Velik lowered his voice. Because in its mind, you are its hatchling. And hatchlings must be guarded with everything. The human placed his hand gently on the dragon's snout. Hey, I'm fine. Really. The dragon's breathing slowed, its rage fading. The room fell silent again. The secret file. Velik walked to a locked drawer and pulled out a dusty, old data chip. There is more. Something the galaxy buried long ago. The commander frowned. What are you talking about? Velik plugged the chip into the projector. An ancient recording appeared. A log from the First Contact War, a time when dragons were far more violent. A terrified soldier spoke in the recording. Dragons do not spare. They destroy everything, except creatures that smell like they're young. Those they protect, even against their own kind. Another log appeared. A scientist trembling as she said, if any species matches the hatchling scent, the dragons form a blood bond. They will never leave that creature. They will die for it. They will kill for it. The commander turned pale. Velik sighed. Humans were never told this. Dragons rarely encounter humans, but when they do, this can happen. The human pointed at himself. So, I'm basically dragon baby perfume? Velik nodded. The dragon rumbled in agreement. The dangerous part. The commander stepped closer. Velik, what happens if someone harms the human? The lab turned cold. Velik whispered. The dragon will attack without mercy. And if we lock the human away, the commander asked, the dragon will tear the station apart to reach him. And if the human dies? Velik hesitated. His voice trembled. If the human dies, the dragon goes berserk. A fury state. It destroys everything it sees. Everyone stared at the human like he was now a nuclear bomb with legs. The human raised both hands. Okay, I won't die. That's the plan. The twist begins. Suddenly, the dragon lifted its head sharply. It hissed, eyes glowing brighter. The human frowned. What's wrong? Velik checked the sensors. Something is coming. A warning siren blared across the station. Incoming vessels. Unknown signature. Possible hostile contact. The commander yelled orders. All units prepare. Defense positions. The dragon rose to its full height, wings brushing the ceiling. The human stepped back. Why does he look angry? Velik's eyes widened at the scanner data. It's not angry, the scientist whispered. The dragon roared, a sound that rattled the station walls. Velik stared at the reading. It's scared. The commander stared in disbelief. Dragons do not get scared. Velik looked at the human. Unless something is coming that hunts dragons. The dragon lowered its head beside the human and whispered a deep, trembling sound. A warning, a plea, a promise to protect. But even a predator dragon feared what was coming. A new bond forms. The warning sirens didn't stop. They kept rising and falling like the heartbeat of a dying world. Red lights flashed across the lab. Scientists ran in panic. Soldiers yelled commands. The commander barked orders into his wristcom. But the dragon didn't move. It stayed beside the human, low, tense muscles shaking. The giant predator that once terrified the station now looked like it was terrified. The human placed a hand on its warm scales. Hey, what's wrong? You're shaking. The dragon didn't roar, didn't growl. Instead, it made a soft, broken sound, something between a whine and a warning. Dr. Velik stared at his scanner. Whatever is coming, the dragon senses it before our systems can. And it fears it. Feared by a predator dragon, the commander muttered. That's impossible. Velik slowly shook his head. Not impossible. Only rare. The siren suddenly changed tone, sharper, louder, urgent. Incoming contact. Breached outer defense grid. Zero signal. The commander swallowed hard. They took out the defense grid without triggering any shields. He wasn't the only one who understood what that meant. The dragon stood tall, wings lifting, eyes narrowing. Instincts surged through its body. It stepped in front of the human. Protective, ready, and terrified. The enemy reveals itself. The lights flickered again. Then the power cut. Complete darkness swallowed the lab for 3 long seconds. The emergency lights came on, dim, red, eerie. A chilling sound echoed from outside the station walls. Click, 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 like claws tapping metal. The dragon's body stiffened instantly. Velik gasped. No, it can't be not them. The commander spun to him. Who? Velik whispered one word. Krex. Every soldier froze. Everyone in the galaxy knew the name. The Krex were not animals. Not beasts. Not dragons. They were dragon hunters. Tall, thin, bone-armored creatures with blind white eyes and rows of blade-like teeth. They hunted dragons for sport, for their scales, for their bones, for their hearts, rumored to contain pure energy. Where dragons were fury, Krex were silence. Where dragons burned worlds, Krex slipped into them like shadows. The human frowned. Why are they here? Velik trembled. They want the dragon. Dragon hearts can power starships. The commander finished the sentence. And if the dragon bonded to the human, all eyes turned to him. The human whispered, they'll come for me too. The dragon growled loudly, stepping closer, curling its tail around him protectively. The first attack, a deafening crack shattered the lab door. Claws punched through metal. A Krex screeched outside the ruined door, a sound that chilled everyone to the bone. Soldiers lifted rifles. The commander shouted, weapons ready. The door exploded inward. The Krex hunter slid into the room. Long limbs, bone armor, and sickening speed. Its white eyes stared straight at the human. It didn't see the soldiers. Didn't see the dragon. Only the human. The dragon roared with a fury that made the lab quake. It lunged forward, smashing into the Krex with its full weight. Claws clashed against bone armor. Sparks flew. The human was thrown back by the shockwave. He hit the ground hard. The dragon roared again, fire building in its throat. The Krex hissed back, unfazed. It slashed the dragon's side with bone blades. The dragon flinched, blood dripping, but stood firm. The human yelled, "Stop! Get away from him!" The dragon reacted instantly to the human's voice. A pulse of heat exploded from its chest. It tackled the Krex so hard that the creature smashed through the wall and disappeared into the next room. The dragon turned back to the human, growling softly, as if asking, "Are you hurt?" The human stood shakily. "I'm fine. You protected me again." Velik whispered, "The bond is strengthening. The dragon brings gifts." The battle wasn't over. But as the alarms blared, the dragon did something strange. Something no one expected. It looked around the lab, sniffed the air, and then began dragging objects to the human's feet. A broken chair, a cooling unit, a ruined metal panel, a whole medical scanner. The commander blinked. Why is it doing that? Velik's jaw dropped. "Those are presents." The human stared. "Presents?" Velik nodded slowly. "Dragons bring items to hatchlings to help them survive. Strong items, shiny items, weapons, tools." The commander rubbed his temples. "It thinks the human needs a medical scanner? It thinks the human is weak." Velik corrected, "and must be protected with everything." The dragon dragged one more object, a heavy hoverbike that it ripped from the hallway wall. The dragon dropped it proudly at the human's feet, tail wagging slightly. The human whispered, stunned, "You brought me a bike?" The dragon nudged him affectionately. Velik whispered, "The bond has shifted. This is no longer simple protection." "A shift?" the commander asked. Velik nodded. "This is early stage imprinting. The dragon is trying to equip him for survival." The human teaches. The human lifted his hand. "Sit." The dragon froze. Its golden eyes blinked once. Then it slowly sat. The soldiers fell silent. Velik almost dropped his scanner. It listened. The human pointed again. "Stay." The dragon didn't move. Not even a twitch. The commander whispered. "He commands it with human words." Velik shook his head. "No, not commands. Trust. Emotional command." The human gulped. "Hey, can you calm down a bit?" The dragon relaxed. Completely. The Krex screech echoed again through the station walls. The human whispered, "We're in danger. All of us." The dragon leaned down, pressing its forehead to his. A promise. A vow. It would protect him, even if it had to destroy everything else. Velik watched the dragon and whispered, "The bond is evolving. If it reaches the final stage." The commander turned to him. "Final stage?" Velik swallowed hard. "The human will not just be a hatchling." He looked at the dragon. "He will become the dragon's reason to fight." And that meant one thing. A war was coming. The war begins. The Krex screech echoed across the whole station. Loud, sharp, metallic. Everyone felt it in their bones. Even the lights flickered like they were afraid. The dragon lifted its head, eyes burning bright gold. Every scale on its body stiffened. Its wings flared wide, smashing several lab tables. It made a low rumble that shook dust from the ceiling. Velik clutched his scanner. "Commander, they're surrounding the station." "How many?" the commander asked, voice trembling. Velik looked at the radar and froze. "All of them." The commander's face went pale. "All of them." The radar showed dozens, no, hundreds of white signatures closing in. A full Krex hunting pack. The human whispered, "They came for him." Velik shook his head. "No, they came for you too." The bond changed everything. The dragon stepped in front of the human, tail wrapping protectively around him. Boom. The entire station shook as something slammed into the outer hall. Screams filled the hallway. "Breach on deck 7. They're cutting through." Weapons now. Soldiers readied rifles. Officers shouted orders. Engineers ran for emergency shelters. But none of it mattered, because the dragon was already moving. The dragon takes command. For the first time, the dragon didn't look scared. It looked ready. Ready to burn. Ready to destroy. Ready to protect its human hatchling with everything it had. The dragon turned its head slightly, looking at the human. Waiting. Listening. The human swallowed hard. They're coming. We can't stay here. The dragon lowered its body, inviting the human to climb on. The soldiers gasped. Velik whispered, "It wants you to ride it." "Me? Ride that?" the human asked. "I don't even have insurance." The dragon nudged him again. Gentle, patient, but firm. The human climbed onto its back. The dragon's wings tightened slightly, securing him. Then it stood tall again. Every soldier stepped back, because in that moment, something ancient awakened. Not a monster, not a beast, a warbond, a predator dragon with its chosen. Velik whispered, "Commander, if this creature obeys him in combat." The commander swallowed. It becomes unstoppable. The first wave arrives. A Krex hunter smashed through a side wall, screeching wildly. The human tightened his grip on the dragon's scales. "Go," he whispered. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He simply spoke. And the dragon moved like lightning. Boom! The dragon slammed into the Krex with full force, claws tearing through bone armor like paper. Fire burst from its jaws, melting the creature into a pile of glowing ash. Gasps filled the lab. Even the commander whispered, "Dear stars." Velik's voice shook. It is fighting for him. Only him. But the victory lasted seconds. Because a second Krex hunter crawled in through the ceiling, upside down, blades ready. The human shouted, "Above you!" The dragon jumped aside just in time. The Krex landed where the dragon had stood, claws sinking into metal. The dragon roared so loudly that windows shattered. It charged, smashing the Krex through 2 walls in a single hit. Station turns into a battlefield. Screams echoed across the station. KREX in the armory. "We're losing sectors. We need support." The commander yelled orders into his wristcom. "All units fall back. Protect civilians. Hold position." But everyone knew. No soldier force could stop the Krex. But one dragon could. The dragon raced down the hallway with the human on its back, smashing through doors, roaring fire, attacking anything that threatened him. Krex tried to flank from the side. The dragon ripped them apart. Krex tried to strike from above. The dragon leapt, slammed one into the ceiling, and burned it alive. Krex tried to surround them. The dragon spun with its wings, slicing through them like blades. Every kill was clean. Every move was fast. Every moment showed a creature built for war. And through it all, the human's voice guided it. Left. The dragon dodged a spear. Down. The dragon ducked under a slash. Behind you. The dragon spun and melted 3 Krex with one breath. The soldiers watched with awe, horror, and disbelief. Velik whispered, "This is not normal combat. This is coordination. This is trust." The heart of the invasion. They reached the central hangar, the heart of the station, and saw it. A massive hole had been cut through the outer hull. Krex poured in like insects. Hundreds, maybe more. The commander gasped, "We can't hold this. We'll lose the station." A Krex leader, taller, armored with thick bone plates, stepped forward from the swarm. Its blind white eyes locked onto the human instantly. It screeched a hunting call. Every Krex turned toward the human. The human whispered, "Oh, that's not good." Velik trembled. They know. They smell the dragon bond. They want to break it. The Krex leader pointed its claws. The swarm charged. The human whispered one word. "Go." The dragon responded like a star exploding. It launched into the air. Wings spread. Fire building in its chest. The commander shouted, "Take cover." The dragon unleashed a firestorm. Blue, white, and gold flame erupted like a living hurricane, swirling around the hangar, melting Krex armor, forcing creatures back. But more kept coming. Krex leaped onto the walls, crawling sideways like spiders. Others leaped onto the dragon's wings, stabbing bone blades. The human held on tight. "Shake them off." The dragon roared and spun in the air, throwing hunters off like dust. The Krex leader screeched again. A massive claw struck the dragon's side. Blood sprayed. The human shouted, panic in his voice. "No. Hey, are you okay?" The dragon staggered. But then, it looked back at him, and something changed. Its eyes glowed brighter. Its muscles tightened. Its wings spread wider. The dragon roared, louder than any roar before. Velik stared at the scanner. Commander, the dragon's power just tripled. The commander whispered, it's fighting harder because the human is scared. The dragon launched into the final attack. Firestorms, claws, lightning-fast strikes, until the entire hangar floor was covered in defeated Kreks. Silence. Smoke. Burning metal. The dragon lowered itself slowly and let the human slide off. Its body shook with exhaustion and pain, but its eyes were gentle when it looked at him. The human placed a hand on its snout. You saved everyone, especially me. Velik whispered, terrified and amazed. The final stage of the bond has begun. The commander asked, what does that mean? Velik answered with a trembling voice. It means the dragon's strength comes from the human now. If the human feels fear, the dragon becomes unstoppable. The human stared at the dragon, realizing the truth. He wasn't just protected. He was the dragon's power source. And the Kreks were not finished. Because deeper in space, something even worse was coming. The final reveal and victory. The hangar was filled with smoke, broken metal, and the bodies of fallen Kreks hunters. Sparks rained from the shattered ceiling. The station shook every few seconds as explosions echoed from distant corridors. The dragon stood in the center of the destruction, bleeding, growling, wings trembling, but still alert, still protecting. The human stood beside it, breathing hard, clothes burned, face smudged with dust. But he was alive, because the dragon made sure of it. Velik slowly stepped into the hangar, eyes wide with fear and wonder. The Kreks, they fell back, he whispered. But this isn't over. The commander limped forward. We detected something big. The human frowned. Bigger than this? Velik nodded slowly. Yes, much bigger. The Kreks leader was not the real danger. It was only a scout commander. The hangar lights flickered again. Then the entire station groaned, like something massive was grabbing it from the outside. The real threat arrives. The sensors activated again, flashing bright red. Unknown mass detected. Class, Titan. Size, continent level. Danger, extreme. Velik stared at the data. This cannot be real. The commander whispered the unthinkable. The Kreks Titan, the Devourer. The human blinked. Devourer? Velik's voice trembled. A creature so large it hunts entire dragon nests. It doesn't eat dragons, it harvests them. The dragon froze. Its wings drooped. Its breath hitched. Its whole body trembled violently. The human placed a hand on its leg. Hey, what's wrong? Velik swallowed. Dragons know the Devourer. Every instinct inside it is screaming to run. But the dragon did not run. Instead, it stepped closer to the human, protecting him, even from something it feared more than death. The Devourer speaks. A deep sound echoed through the station walls. A thunderous, vibrating voice. Nothing alive should sound like that. Hatchling scent detected. Bring me the chosen. Velik turned white. It wants the human. The commander shouted. Arm all cannons. Prepare final defenses. The ceiling cracked as something enormous crawled across the top of the station. The whole station tilted slightly, like a ship sinking in the ocean. Soldiers ran. Sirens blared. Systems overloaded. But the dragon only looked at the human. Its golden eyes shook, not from fear, but from a deeper instinct. A desperate, ancient instinct. It lowered its head to him, like it was saying goodbye. The human shook his head. No, don't you dare. Velik whispered, tears in his eyes. Dragons sacrifice themselves to save hatchlings. It wants to draw the Devourer away. The human stepped in front of the dragon and grabbed its snout. Not happening. We survived together. The Devourer roared again. Hatchling, come. The dragon roared back, fire bursting from its jaws. The sound shook the entire hangar. Then, something happened. Something no one expected. Something that changed everything. The bond reaches its peak. The dragon touched its forehead gently to the human's chest. A flash of golden light burst outward. Velik gasped. Commander, look at the readings. The dragon's heartbeat synced with the human's. Their breathing synced. Their energy readings combined. Velik whispered, this is the final stage, the soul bond. A myth. A legend. The commander shook his head. That doesn't exist. It does, Velik said, but only once in 1,000 years. It means, he pointed at the scanner. The human's fear, courage, strength, everything flows into the dragon. The human felt warmth spreading through his chest. His heartbeat echoed like thunder. His vision sharpened. He could sense the dragon's pain and its love. He whispered, "We fight together." The dragon bowed its head. A vow. The final battle. The ceiling exploded open. A massive, horrifying shape appeared above the station. A creature larger than a city, covered in bone plates and glowing veins. Its mouth was a giant pit filled with rotating teeth. The Devourer. Krek's soldiers swarmed around it like insects. The Devourer's huge eye focused on the human. "Come, hatchling." The dragon stepped in front of him and roared. A roar so powerful it shook space itself. Fire ignited across its entire body, glowing gold instead of red. Velik whispered, "That flame? I've never seen that color before." The commander stared. "It's not normal fire." Velik nodded. "It's human-driven. The soul bond is amplifying it." The human pointed toward the massive enemy. "Burn that thing." The dragon launched into the sky. A burst of golden fire erupted from its back like rocket engines. The human held tight as the dragon slammed into the Devourer's face. The Devourer screamed, the first time in centuries. Krek's warriors leaped onto the dragon, stabbing and clawing. The human shouted commands. "Left!" The dragon rolled, throwing hunters into space. "Dive!" The dragon dodged the Devourer's massive jaws. "Flame it!" The dragon unleashed a torrent of gold fire that melted entire Krek squads. The Devourer roared again, launching bone spikes from its body. One struck the dragon's wing. The dragon cried out in pain. The human felt the pain too. The soul bond shared everything. He gritted his teeth. "We're not done." The dragon roared in agreement. They charged again, straight toward the Devourer's open mouth. Velik screamed from below, "No, it will eat you." The human yelled back, "Not today." The dragon flew inside the Devourer's mouth, fire blazing brighter than a star. The creature swallowed them whole. Silence. Then, boom, a massive explosion tore through the Devourer's chest. Golden fire poured out of every crack in its body. The Devourer screeched, louder than anything in the galaxy, then collapsed dead, drifting into space. The dragon flew out of the exploding corpse, wings glowing with golden fire, human still on its back. They landed on the ruined station. Both collapsed to the floor, shaking, exhausted, barely alive. The commander whispered, They defeated the Devourer." Velik whispered, "No, they ended the hunt. The galaxy learns the truth." The dragon pushed its head weakly against the human. The human rested his forehead against its scales. "We made it," the dragon whispered, actual words in a deep, broken voice. "Protect, hatchling." Velik gasped. Dragons never speak. This bond made it possible. The human smiled weakly. "I'm not your hatchling." The dragon blinked slowly. The human touched its snout. "I'm your partner." The dragon closed its eyes, peaceful for the first time. The commander stood tall. "Send this everywhere. The galaxy needs to know humans are not prey." Velik added, "Humans are dragon bonded, and dragons protect their own."